One of my hobbies in the early 2000s was trying to find horror games no matter the console. You'd find a lot of nothing, and then you'd also find a lot of gems. Back in the earlier internet days, there were many little horror games, flash games like Ex Mortis, and then there's games like The White Chamber, built on a much more obscure engine and entirely hand-drawn, with incredibly fluid animations and great detail for a free game. Released in 2005, 20 years ago as of making this video, by Studio Tropis, once based in Sheffield, England. The White Chamber is a 2D point-and-click psychological horror game. It's a classic in that you'll be clicking everything as you wander through the rooms of a ship, playing as an amnesia-stricken protagonist. This game was lost on the internet, possibly more accurate lost to me, for a period of time. At least I couldn't find it for a couple of years a while back. Then the devs re-uploaded their game on itch.io, long after their personal website had gone down. It took many years later when I knew how to leverage properly searching for something that it popped up instantly on itch.io. Gotta love a hilarious but simple happy ending. It's a product of its time and it definitely shows, yet I still visit it now and then as a guilty pleasure. It was one of the earlier games I played from a random independent game developer, so expect this video to be very biased. The artwork is incredibly charming, it's edgy but stylish, entirely hand-drawn manga and horror visuals. Drawn surprisingly fluid, especially during the crawling animation. Drawings and animation was pretty well thought out. The horror was thought out decently and the gore mixed with the sound design was given equal care. I recall Ghost in the Shell's Masamune Shiro being one of the White Chamber's artist influences, who is Paul Johnson, not only hand-drawing everything but also animating everything. He took these things and added enough of his own flair to create something relatively unique. Like other early 2000s media, the saturation is pretty high, but it lends very well to the actual game. Some of the horror that you'll see will be surreal in its own way, and honestly, I really appreciate it for what it does. You have weird squelching creatures, all these tendrils, and then eyeballs that are just looking in every direction at high speeds. It works very well, and it's genuinely surprising to see this sort of thing in such an early 2000s indie game production. That was released for free. You would really expect this to come with some sort of price tag. To move, left click somewhere on the ground and watch your character go there. Right click for a mini options menu, left click on the upcoming eye to observe what you're pointing at, and left click on the hand to interact. Hover your mouse over the top of your screen to see your inventory, left click anything there to grab an item. If you have a lot of items, use the on-screen arrows pointing on either side of the inventory spot to look at the available objects. Click on an environmental object with your inventory item to combine or use them with whatever is on screen. To use items, left click on the item and click again on where you want to put it. Hovering over doors will change your icon into an arrow signaling an exit. This naturally takes you to a new screen. Some of the parts you click might not result in what you expect. It might be the case that you need to be more precise with where you're clicking, or click on what you want to interact with on a different spot. It's standard affair for these sorts of games. You'll probably only find this in 2 specific rooms. Everywhere else hasn't been an issue. There is one room you will struggle with if you don't have arrow buttons on your keyboard, such as what happens in a world where a numpad might as well be a purchasable add-on. You'll control a little robot buddy, and you cannot move him without those arrows. I'm sure most people will be fine, but it's worth mentioning. Saving your game will be manual. Hit escape or F1 to enter your menu to save where you stand, otherwise you'll be starting over. Lastly, if English isn't your most comfortable suit, you're instantly greeted with the subtitle screen the moment you boot up the game, supporting Czech, French, German, Greek, Italian, Portuguese, Polish, Spanish, and Russian subtitles. It's a fair list. This is no spoiler territory. If you want to explore the game for yourself, now's the time to do so, otherwise skip here into the video to continue. Suffering from amnesia, you'll be waking up from a coffin, greeted with a screen asking a series of questions, one being, do you know where you are? Answering no raises some shudders, showing that you are in space. The whole place is abandoned, but some weird stuff is happening. Checking out a door lets us visit some tropical island. Leaving and trying to re-enter means we almost get sucked into space. That doesn't make any sense. Nevertheless, we survive, just barely, collect some items, and go on our way. We will also be collecting discs throughout all of this, and they show logs of a person who had been transferred here for work. A chalkboard will have a certain number of strokes on it that we pass by. This will be important later. Little choices you make can alter the chalkboard. That's essentially a counter for how many nice things you do. Try to smash open a glass vat, that's one nice point. Collect enough or remove enough and you'll receive different endings. We find ourselves wandering around and collecting body parts. There may be something really weird to see in this sometimes glitchy area if you use the videotape. Yet as we continue to push through, making sure to top up on manual saves, we find out what is truly happening. A white room, called the White Chamber, the game's title, contains a strange alien artifact, and a dead man at the foot of the strange shape. He appears on a giant TV, and tells us everything. Our name is Sarah. We obsessed over the artifact so much that we protested everybody's concerns and wishes to eject the artifact by killing anybody getting in the way. Sarah was ruthless. We are judged and allowed to leave via an escape pod we passed earlier but couldn't access. Depending on your in-game actions or inactions, you may wind up crash landing on an island we visited near the beginning of the game, or get a surprise gag ending. You'll probably find some holes in the White Chamber story, but you won't care, it's just one of those titles. The sound is going to involve in a lot of bassy noises, representative of being on a spaceship in most media. You won't hear music everywhere, and it's a good choice. Music is chosen to hype up the moment or aftermath of events. It's really decent, with special effects and music really thoughtfully put together by Zakir Rahman. At one point, the protagonist's shoes even squelch while trying to walk over a floor of gore. And the voice acting was genuinely good for the most part, in a time when free projects were a bit of a gamble. One guy peaked a bit, another's accent I won't talk about, but you only see them by pursuing a specific ending. During research, it turned out Nier Automata's Kira Buckland voiced the main protagonist. The White Chamber has some small references in their game, from a workable and legally distinct MES that has a functional minigame if you interact with it enough times, and it wouldn't be an email inbox without the spam. There's a Twin Peaks reference in this game too, with the traffic light shown during one instance. There are other references and I won't list them all, just know that Event Horizon is in there too. I'd recommend checking out the game in any capacity in this incredibly biased view. It's a relatively short but fun experience. And one of the most impressive things is they gave the source code away for free. To leave things off, as once mentioned by the developers on their own website, it's professionally made. The game is completely free to play, or you can consider supporting the devs now on Steam by paying $2.99. It may cost more or less depending on where you're located. Links are in the description. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, liking and subscribing is always appreciated. Memberships and a Patreon is there if you'd like to support me in upgrading my hardware to continue making these sorts of videos. If that's your thing, links are also in the description. And you'll see your name here at the end of videos if you decide on anything. Take care of yourselves, and until next time. It's going to look a little different to this one.